baby, listen to me speak, yeah. No matter what, just let it fly.
Pop, Perswayable. What's going on, everybody? So, welcome to the first episode of this new series. I don't really know what the name of the series is yet, so I'm not going to say it. When I upload this on YouTube, I'll figure it out. So one of the things that I want to show everybody is really how to become a better survivor, and there's just so many different tips. There's so many different tricks. So one of the things that I'm going to do is I'm going to show you my actual legendary rank matches. I'm going to show you some of the things that I do right, some of the things that I do incorrectly, and what I do to go about polishing up my gameplay to become an eventual top survivor in this game. It's the same process that I went through when I was a top player in the first 3-4 seasons of the game. Now, here's the thing, right? I didn't want to upload too many videos before because getting from rank 3 up to rank 5 was super easy. It's just that, you know, for top players going against those hunters, it's pretty easy to do. So I didn't want to, you know, riddle my YouTube with videos of me kiting tier 3 hunters. That's not what I've done before. That's not how I raised my YouTube channel. So I was a little patient. So I've been ranking back up. I have about an 80% win rate so far in legendary rank mode. My duo partner is Call Me Duty. We really like to use a combination of him using forward and me using something different, either being perfumer or a decoder. This way, if one of our teammates goes down super early, then the forward can do their job in terms of trying to stall that. So let's get into the series. Let me tell you and show you what I do wrong. We're going to try to analyze this as much as possible. So from here, it's usually a common strategy to get the hell away from this side of the map, believe it or not, to transition away. It doesn't always work, but when you go against a spider and she can put webs all over the place, it can be disastrous. So here's my first mistake. The first mistake is that I'm not pinging my teammates where the basement is, right? Well, I can't really ping them, right? Because the dungeon is not, so the dungeon we know is not in the shack. Now, I kind of take a gamble here by using my perfume. It's not always a good strategy to do that, but the spider got fooled by it. Now, sometimes the spider will just kind of chase you. Unfortunately, the spider gave me too much room to work with here. So you can see that the spider is still learning really how to use their character, not putting webs down in the doorway to catch up with speed. Now, you might be asking, how do you kite a spider? I kite a spider by putting as much distance as I can and throwing these pallets down. Back in Season 1, Season 2, we tried to preserve these pallets as much as possible. But the hunters are significantly stronger. So if I can throw a pallet down and really put the distance between me and the hunter, I try to do that to the best of my ability and keep running away. What we should note is that legendary rank mode is very different from competitive game mode. Competitive, like tournament gameplay in the competitive circuit, the first kite is the most important. You really want to waste 60, 70, 80 seconds of the hunter's time. So we don't care about the pallets. We throw them down. Because normally I would also have a seer on my team if they weren't banned. And even so, we would be getting the pallet cipher and going down pretty good. Now you can see that this spider is struggling with the web management. So she's struggling with web management, so she's just going and taking down all these pallets. It's giving me too much time to run around. And so what I'm doing here is I'm making sure I look behind me at all times as a perfumer. And so she's going to get a first hit. Now, I'm going to show you 2 mistakes I make right now. First mistake is I'm going inside the church. I know that the basement is in there because I spawned at the other location where it could be and it wasn't there. The other mistake that I did is if I were to theoretically run into this church as a strategy, I should have bared left. I should have immediately bared left and try to hop the window, but it still wouldn't be worth it because against a good spider, they're going to use their webs. I screwed up with 2 things. I think the kite was over 1 minute and 47 seconds, but I put my team at a huge disadvantage by getting myself in the basement. Also, I want to give a shout out to that stun. Wasn't that a beautiful stun? That's the sort of gameplay that you can expect from top players. Amazing stun. So again, I want to highlight the 2 mistakes that I made there. The first mistake that I made, okay, was going into the area that I knew the basement was in. It is better to die than to try to kite and live while potentially exposing yourself to the basement, because you screw up your entire team by doing that. It makes it incredibly hard to rescue in the basement against a good team. So that was really bad of me. I knew where that basement was because I spawned in the other location. The other mistake that I made again is that when I was running into the church, instead of veering left and trying to use the window to my advantage, I just ran straight. That is a huge mistake. That is stupid. Don't ever do that, especially against a spider, especially against a ripper too. One last thing I want to cover is I did not gamble trying to hop this pallet. What I tried to do is I ran in a little circle hoping that he would hit the pallet, because sometimes sometimes if you do a circular juke, they'll hit the pallet and miss, and then you can vault it. It depends on the hunter here. You got to be careful with that. But at the end of the day, don't try to risk the terror shock. I would rather you take that first hit than risk a terror shock, because then it's going to be a disaster for the whole team. So that's where you see patience there. Now I'm like, I don't think I can make this. I'm not going to risk it for my team. Even though I lasted only another 15 seconds or so after this point, it's still another 15 seconds that buys time for my team to decode. In fact, if you pay attention real closely, you can see that another cipher machine popped. Another cipher machine popped, and it allowed that person to transition to the next one. So every second counts. And that's why you do not want to get terror shocked, ever. Play it safe, be careful. And I just love this stun. I just love watching this stun. All right, so here is going to be some more subtle stuff. I'm going to highlight what the hunter does wrong on this one. But before we get into that, when I used my cane right there, I see that my mercenary got injured. Now, you need to remember that the mercenary may not be able to see me. It's legendary rank mode. I don't have voice comms to him, so I do say follow me. And I use follow me because the merc is right there, but he may not want to waste his time on the ship thinking this is a waste of time. So by me pinging him, that's my ability to say, hey, I see you and you're injured. You need to come over here and I'm going to heal you. He's our rescuer. It's absolutely worth going and healing him, especially when you're with top tier players. Now, I'm not moving from my spot. He's coming to me, and that's a very important point. You don't want to waste too much time healing, teammates needlessly. If he were to fall down, I'd have him heal himself as I continue decoding, because decoding is super fast. Now we're going to talk about the clown. So the clown's going to do a strategy that, some expert clowns can pull this off, where they come onto the ship charging, because when you're any other character, or rather any character other than Mind's Eye, you have no idea where the clown's coming from. These clowns have expert controls, can go up the ramp. Ridiculous controls. The difference, though, is that as a Mind's Eye, I have vision of you. I have vision of you as a Mind's Eye. So although this is a strategy that you will see top hunters such as Alex use, they will sometimes do this. Most of the time, they don't do it because it's a risk. Most of the time, you don't want to waste your time trying to kite, or rather trying to kill somebody on the ship. What you can see is this clown is actually a pretty good clown. It's an S-tier clown. He knows how to use his ability to navigate within the ship, but the problem is that I got vision on him at all times. So he's already been kited by a few people on our team, and now he's going to the strongest part of the ship. If I was the mechanic, it would work better, but against a Mind's Eye, it's not worth the risk. Even so, you could see me benefiting from some of his mistakes. He's still running into objects. Now, it's a very, very tight area in there. On the bottom of there, by the walls, going up the ramp is one thing, but those walls are very, very tight. It can be very difficult, even for expert clown users. I mean, to do that 100% consistently on a mobile device is a lot more difficult than on the computer. So I did benefit there. I was actually expecting the blink as well. I was getting ready for the window, waiting for him to blink and hit me, and then climb the window and use that, but I didn't see it at all. Now what you'll see is once I see him go through that little tunnel there to my my left, that's when I decided to hop the pallet. It's really hard to do a complete turn in that area. You can do it on the computer, I think, but you have no room. So that's why I decided to go in and climb the pallet at that point. But at this point, I've already done my job, and I have my prospector here. And really what I'm doing is just try to buy as much time. But he wasted a lot of time. He ended up losing this match because he just wasted too much time trying to pull off a very fancy move, which of course can work. It does work. But there's still a high risk to the strategy. And typically you don't want to play like that because you'll oftentimes, more so than not, lose. Against top players, that is. So I'm going to show you a screw up that I did. At first, I actually blamed the mechanic a little bit. But this was kind of my fault. I'm going to explain my line of thinking, and then I'm going to explain why it was wrong. So what you see is that somebody goes down, somebody's injured, I think, and it's my job to go in for the rescue. That's what I thought. I'm a perfumer. Mad Eyes hits me with a wall. I can perfume back, or I can climb the wall. I can perfume, climb the wall, and go in for a rescue and perfume back. There's just a lot of versatility there. All right. So the problem is that I left the mechanic to go and do the decoding. And the problem with leaving the mechanic doing the decoding is that she doesn't have her puppet there in the middle. So her decoding is very slow. So even though I pull off the rescue and we do our thing, the machine isn't fully ready. And the machine isn't fully ready because I either left prematurely, I should have kept decoding and gave it a little bit. So I made a bunch of different mistakes here. Even if I were the one to go in for the rescue, I should have given it a little bit. I shouldn't have been so trigger happy. But at the same time, my line of thought was, listen, I'm the perfumer. If he puts a wall down, I can perfume, climb the wall, save. If he barricades himself outside the wall and then perfume back. I mean, there's a bunch of things that I could have done here, but the biggest screw up is that I left the cipher machine too early. I did not have to leave that cipher machine. So even if I wanted the mechanic to continue decoding, I should have helped that mechanic get to that 95% level. Now, typically speaking, you want mechanics to go in for the save. Usually mechanics have tide turner, etc. But I believe in this match, the mechanic already used their tide turner. So I'm not saying that mechanics should not save. Do not confuse my advice. Mechanics should always have a down and right build. They are actually rescue characters. When you spawn as a mechanic, you can spawn your doll. It is one strategy. Just in case if the hunter comes after you, if you go down, you have your doll in the cipher you started, or you can put the doll down and transfer to another cipher machine and decode with the doll while transferring. It's another strategy. I don't like that strategy as much. But the point is that I should have helped the mechanic get further along on that cipher machine before running off. We're at the end of the game. So we're at the end of the game. You could say that the forwards shouldn't have gone down there as well, but that's not the forwards' responsibility. Sometimes they're going to get hit. The forward is actually what kept us alive the entire match with stun after stun after stun. He had no football. So really, we ended up tying this match when this should have been an easy victory. This Mad Eyes was really, really struggling against us, and that should have been an easy victory, and we gave them an easy tie because of my bad decision-making. And one big nasty mistake I made is that the mechanic is pinging me, follow me, follow me. And so the mechanic will be pinging me, follow me, because that means that the gate was open. And for some reason, I was so pissed off that I wasn't paying attention to the ping. So when I get rescued with tide turner, I can easily escape. I screwed up. I ran the other way. I wasn't paying attention. So this tie is 100% my fault. I screwed up the rescue. Well, I got the rescue, but I didn't help my mechanic. And even so, they still could have pulled off a victory. But it was me not paying attention to which gate was open, and the mechanic was pinging me. This is really bad gameplay, guys. Really, really bad gameplay. And hopefully you guys can learn from it just like I can as well.